Hey YouTube fans, it is Trinity Productions, trinityprosound.com. This time we are bringing you a new speaker from DB Technologies. They have sent us one of their new VIO or VO boxes. It is the L210. It is a 210-inch powered line array with high frequency drivers in it, and really nice box. Just want to go over the specs here with you real quick before we do an opening and get the thing out. It is a two-way line array. Usable frequency response is 67 to 20,000. Max SPL, depending on the frequency presets, is 134 to 136 dB, which is really respectable. High frequency driver is a 1.4 exit. It's a neodyme driver. It is a 3-inch titanium driver on a waveguide, and then it's got two Neo 10-inch woofers in it with 2.5-inch voice coils. And then there is an aluminum phase corrector low frequency plug. Crossover frequency is at 950, so with that larger driver they are doing something really nice where they are getting a good crossover point down on that high frequency driver to couple really nicely with the dual 10-inch drivers on this thing. Has FIR filtering, so they've been really been able to really nail down how this box responds overall. The horizontal dispersion, it's 100 degrees wide, and I think this thing's a 15-degree vertical box, but I'll have to go back and check the specs on that. It has their DigiPro G3 auto-ranging power supply and amplifier in it. It is 900 watts RMS power, so in this range of speakers with dual 10s, it's got a little bit more power than some of the other models. Passive cooling, no fans. As far as the controller and processor, it is all DSP controlled, 2856-bit, 48 kilohertz. Has limiters on it, dual active peak, RMS, and thermal. And then it has some controls with DSP presets that can be used without the RDNet if you choose to do so. There is some advanced DSP functions with linear phase and FIR filters. Has a couple of rotary encoders, we'll get to those in the back. Input and output connections, it all has the new TrueCon on it. And XLR in, XLR out, and then RDNet on board, and then there's also a USB connector for servicing for future updates. So it is a wooden box. We're going to get in and show you the rigging, which is really slick on this. The weight of the box is about 63 pounds, so about in this range of dual 10s, about the same as manufacturers. But I like the rigging on it. It's really pretty slick. So what we're going to do is get into this new box. This is their flagship line array now from DB Technologies. This thing is amazing. We've seen some videos on it. I have not heard a rig of this yet, but we are listening to this one box and going to do some smart on it analysis and just let you see what the frequency response and everything is of it. But from what I understand in talking to the engineers at DB Technologies, this thing is really quite amazing. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get this thing opened up and show you what this new VIO L210 line array from DB Technologies is all about. So here it is. Quite an impressive box. Open grill, solid, probably 18 gauge grill construction, and then we'll get into the pinning and everything on the array top, but everything just pops up to connect into the next box. When they're stored, they are down. They give you a couple of handles on the side as well as in the back, and symmetrical all the way around. The finish on this is not paint, it's more of a sprayed on kind of a high texture, almost feels like a light kind of a Duraliner finish, truck bed kind of thing, and some of the other speaker manufacturers with their Pro Sound series have done. One of the things that I want to get into though is the rigging on this. It's a 3-point rigging system with the two fronts and then a single pinning system in the back. And what that does is, we'll go ahead and flip this around kind of so you can see it. Well, what that does is they've got 0 to 10 degrees of increments of angle lock on this. The bracket here that comes down also has a little foot on it, so that when you're pinning some of these other boxes, that you can have this kind of rest in place as you get the pins in. But it makes it really easy to go through and pin this up. But you're basically looking at 0 to 10 in 1 degree increments, so it's really got some good adjustability to it, as you'll see along the bracket there. But with the 3-point rigging, it's very, very fast to be able to get these boxes up and get them hooked together and get them deployed out in the field. So what I'm going to do is come around to the other side of the table here and get into what we're looking at on the back of this guy. So it's got built-in rain covers on it to protect it against the weather. On this side of the amplifier, you've got your TrueCons in and out for linking with weatherproof little covers over them. Fuse on that side. On this side, we have got the RDNet in and out. We have got XLR in and through on it. We've got the attenuation of the speaker, and then the DSP presets, and those are all based on the number of boxes that you are deploying. And then there's also a high frequency compensation. There is a limiter light, there is signal, there is a mute protect and a ready light. RDNet, you've got a link active and remote preset active. So if you've engaged RDNet, that will tell you that that has been activated. And then the little USB connector that is there. So you can put these guys down, get all your cables and everything connected, and not have to worry about any kind of moisture should you be out in the rain with these getting into the the vital connections of the back of the box. The handles in the back make it nice to be able to lift them, to be able to get them into rigging, and they've done a really nice job with it. Very nice job. So with that said, we'll come back around to the other side here and spin this around. But what we're going to do now is probably going to take us a little bit, since this thing is quite well assembled and put together, to be able to look at some of the features of this this cabinet. But it's all wood construction, so this is kind of, with the line arrays from DB Technologies, kind of a first for them, as within their initial flagship, the T4, which sold tens of thousands of units, and then moving into the T8 and T12, and now the new K5, all being injection molded boxes. This is kind of a nice departure from that, but gets them into something that is just absolutely solid and fantastic sounding, and kind of steps them up into a more, what I would consider a pro line box offering from DB Technologies. So with that, we're going to get the grill pulled and start pulling some of the components out and go over what we're finding in this new VIO L210 from DB Technologies. So there you can see we have got it opened up, and first impressions of this is it's nice, absolutely nice construction. All of the screws are threaded for the front grill, and then again, as with DB Technologies, the grill has got this foam backing behind it, which helps keep out some of the moisture and rain from getting into the front of the driver, should you ever get into that situation. But out of the front, you can see the horn flare, and then what they've done with some of the phasing for the dual 10-inch drivers with this slotted assembly here. But you do have porting that is down one side or the other here. As far as the allowing the low frequency to come out, you can kind of see the dampening material inside the cabinet in there as well. So we're going to go ahead and continue our breakdown of this this L210 cabinet, and start pulling the drivers out of it, and see what makes this so special. And I think we're going to see why this is the new flagship of DB Technologies in a dual 10-inch two-way line array. So here we go. So as we continue to drill down and get further into this cabinet, we have removed the phasing plugs or phasing assembly for the low frequency drivers, and it is a aluminum plate that they have also then done whatever mechanical relief they need to do, or the way that they are allowing the sound to come out and couple with the high frequency horn flare on those. They do have some dampening material on this assembly as well to help with taking care of any resonance that might be created from the dual 10-inch drivers on them. So one of those on each side, all held in with screws, very tight construction. Everything was very solid when we pulled it apart. And now you can see the two 10-inch drivers and the flare in there. So what we're going to do is pull out one of the drivers, and we're going to pull out the horn flare and take a look at the driver itself on the horn, and then also the 10-inch driver that is in the box. And then we'll see what we can do to get the amplifier out and take a look at that as well. Well, alrighty then, we are opened up, and instead of pulling one driver, I pulled both because I want you to see what they've done inside this cabinet. So the drivers themselves, the 10-inch drivers, they are a stamped basket assembly, but it is not your conventional stamped basket assembly. With the neodyme magnet that they've got on this thing, it is like having a ceramic magnet that would just be freaking huge on the back of this thing. But with this assembly and what they've done and the way that they have created this stamped assembly, giving it some additional rigidity, I want you to see this, of what they've done with strengthening, with the way that they have compressed and folded the metal on this frame on this. Unlike anything I have seen as far as a stamped assembly, which just gives it extra rigidity to be able to hold the magnet and keep the form and factor of the driver. Really nice job, but standard cone surround on that, but you can tell that there's a lot of neodyme magnet on this puppy for the size of the driver that it is. So both identical drivers. So moving around to the front here, we're going to take a look. There is the jumper assembly, so that they've got those things wired together in parallel. But you can see, as far as the construction of what they've done on the inside here, all of the screws around here are all on thread certs, so that if should anything happen, they can be in and out. They're all machine screws. You can see the dampening material that they have done in both sides. But look back in the back, what they've done. You can see the bracing back in there to help maintain the rigidity of this cabinet, but yet allow the resonance and the audio and everything to be able to circulate through as it needs to do and come out these side ports as well for the 10-inch drivers. But the thing is just very solid. It is all multi-layer plywood that they have put in here, and then is all, you can see evidence where it is all glued together and nailed, and then you can see the DigiPro G3 amplifier in the back. If you take a look in there, you can see, as we get into back in there, you can see the size of the horn, the driver assembly on the back of this horn flare. So really solid construction, built very, very well. So all glued and screwed together, are glued and nailed together, and this being the type of cabinet it is and the market that it's going to serve is definitely a touring quality kind of box for DB Technologies. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and get the horn flare out and remove this whole assembly as one piece and take a look and see what that horn and the flare and everything on this L210 from DB Technologies is all about. Okay, so as you can see, we removed the horn flare, and much to my surprise and pleasantly surprised, one of the the nicer drivers that we have come to know and respect. And that's why they're able to get the crossover point and the sonic quality out of this thing as they have. But they're using the RCF PGXP driver on this little guy. So all Neo, studded mount, and then the I think it's a 1.4 inch exit on this with a 3-inch voice coil. So beefy driver, used in other manufacturers' speakers, and that is kind of one of the reasons. We just got a bunch of screws attached to this thing. One of the reasons of why they can end up getting the clarity and the sonic quality. So standard flare for the front that they have, but what we've done also is we've taken the flare and opened it up so that you can kind of see what they've done to be able to get that exit spread over this entire opening. So as we take this apart, you can kind of see here of what they've done and kind of the waveguide of this high frequency driver. But you look down the back of it here and see what they've done, where the driver throat then bolts up here, and then this assembly on the inside ends up help shape and align the high frequency output of this thing into this flare so that they get the all of the high frequency energy flared and directed exactly where they want. And pretty amazing thing that they can do with the horn flares and the high frequency drivers. I'm not qualified, and this is above my pay grade to even get into why they do what they do with these things, but I know enough to be dangerous about what they're doing with the flares and the alignment on everything on that. That's kind of a whole nother video kind of thing. So with that, down in the front of it here, and as you can continue to see into the box, you can see all of the bracing, and then you can see the DigiPro amp in the back of the box there on its own framing and encasement. But pinning and rigging, if there was another box here, then this would pop up from the lower box, pin and rig into the lower attachment on these guys, and really fast rigging. They have on the inside, they have secured the pins so that they are not any outside attachments. And then these guys, there's a little relief in the speaker grill to be able to bring this cable through. And they've got a little tab on here to help you assist in pulling that pin up for the flyware. But very nice constructed box, very solid. Weight-wise, let's kind of see where. So the box is probably 28-30 pounds just by itself, and with the rigging hardware and everything on it. So what we're going to do is flip this thing over and work on getting the amplifier out, and we'll show you that. And then once we get that out, we'll get everything back together and run some noise through it and put it up on Smart and see what the frequency response looks like versus the specs, and just kind of do some overall listening for the sonic quality with the crossover point that they've done with this and some of the other speaker boxes that we have listened to with a lower crossover point of 900 or 800. The transition frequency response wise between the dual 10s on that and the high frequency driver, all I can say is it's going to be very smooth. So we'll go ahead and get the amplifier pulled and get this thing buttoned back up and get some audio through it. Okay, so as we can see, we got the amplifier pulled. We're in a little bit closer, but just wanted to show you this. This is the DigiPro G3 amp, and as you can see, what we've got here, that there is no fans or anything on it. You've got your TrueCon connectors in and out, and those come into the SMPS power supply on this side, and then everything is all surface mount technology. Let's see here, kind of can't really see it, but you can kind of get a good idea of what's going on there. Kind of show you this end of it. But amplifier assembly itself is probably 4 or 5 pounds. All of the DSP and processing goes on this end with the cover over it and then transfers into the board. Speaker connections are here and just on a little Molex snap-on release that clips back on for a solid connection. Heat sink assembly here, so good solid fan assembly as far as heat dissipation is concerned. Like I've said in some of our other videos over the years with the DB Technologies speakers, we are in Northern California, out in the Central Valley, where it does at times get extremely hot during the summer. We're talking about 100, 105 degree days of the sun just beating down. Summertime sometimes until 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And with that said, the DB Technologies speakers that we have been using have been in direct sun, so that they are amplifiers are facing westward as the sun goes down, and from about 12:30, 1 o'clock on in the Northern California heat, they have been subjected to extreme temperatures where you can't even put your hands on the amplifiers because you will burn yourself, and we have never had a failure. So kudos to DB Technologies with the robustness of their amplifiers. So with that, I'm going to set this amplifier down and just kind of give you a look through here of the speaker. So if we open up the back flap, you can see through all the way to the back. Hello, here we are. But the rain cover is on a separate frame, so that you can pull the amplifier out if you need to. All goes in with just regular wood screws that are on an Allen head and comes out very easily. One of the things that I wanted to mention that you really can't see this, but with their rigging, is that it's along here on the edges with all the metal frame that holds the load, and then also the back assembly that basically holds the speaker, but all of the weight is transferred through the rigging and through the brackets that are here in the front and the steel that's in the back. The cabinets are basically just being suspended between the rigging brackets. So there's really not any structural weight being put onto the cabinets themselves. It's all transferred into the steel all the way from the fly bar down to the last box on these speaker assemblies. That's why it's really kind of critical that you don't try to do that kind of stuff with speakers that are not made to be flown. Just because the cabinet weight, if you do anything under it, some of these cabinets, with the way some of these speakers are built from manufacturers we won't mention, they'll just fall apart, and then you're going to have a huge liability and lawsuit. So do it the right way. Do it with a line array. Do it with something that can be flown and rigged that has true fly points to it. But if you look at the manufacturer's literature, a lot of those speakers that have single fly points are just made to be flown by themselves, not putting another speaker underneath of it. So something you got to pay attention to. But that's my 2 cents and soapbox for the day. So anyway, what we're going to do is go ahead and get this thing back together. I'm very impressed with the overall construction of what they have done with this box. It feels good. It looks good. I mean, this is, they've done a good job with the aesthetics of it, and can't wait to hear it. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get it back together and get some noise through it. In getting this speaker back together, one of the things I thought was noteworthy is there is a gasket around the amplifier, so when that seals down, it's nice and tight to the air and inside the box, so it doesn't push anything out the back of it. One of the things they've done, as you saw earlier when we had the amplifier out, was that they have covered over the wires with a foam, so that the wires, even though there may be a tendency for them to buzz and rattle against the wood in the box, they've taken care of that so that they've kind of even dampened them further, so that you're not going to get any kind of anomalies coming out of the speaker boxes from the wiring even vibrating. So good job. So we're almost back together. One of the things that I've seen as I have taken this box apart and put it back together is that if 20 screws will do in a typical box, DB Technologies has kind of taken that to the next level. So it's like, let's put 40 in. This thing is just very well constructed and held together. There's a lot more hardware that is going into this to hold it together, so to speak, and hold the components together while it is under duty than probably a lot of the speakers that we have seen and reviewed in the past. So I want to, kind of just, that's kind of noteworthy, and just say, good for you, DB Technologies, to see that there's that much thought and consideration going in, even to the type of the screws. In this flare assembly, you can see that the Allen heads in there are flush type, just to take in consideration of how that waveguide disperses the audio so that there's not anything getting hung up on screw heads and things like that. So anyway, just about there, and just about to run some noise through it. Okay, so we finally got Smart up and running, and going to end up taking a look at some traces. So here on the screen, you can kind of see what's going on. We've got the spectrum settings in 48th octave, and got spectrograph running, as well as spectrum analysis. And we're going to go ahead and turn on the noise generator. As you can see, it is down a little bit. As you can see, though, I'll turn it back up, but as you can see, it's fairly flat. A little bit of a spike up here at 16 for some reason, and not sure why that's happening. So we'll go ahead and bring it back up. Good response, though, down into 63. Bring up the gain on the mic. You can kind of see how it's tracking to what the generator is doing. There we go. That was frozen. But now you can kind of see how it's tracking, and see the spectrum analysis of it as well. Still has that little spike up there around 16. Frequency response. We are at about 30 inches away from the box, with the microphone directly pointing on axis right at the high frequency driver in the center of the grill. But overall, so in case you didn't hear that, too much noise, microphone is about 30 inches away from the box, right on axis, and pointing at the center of the horn flare, right in the center of the cabinet, on both sides, and kind of let you see what's kind of what's going on there. We'll pull this down a little bit so we can get a little bit more content in there. This spike, though, that is showing up, that we're seeing, is up at about 14 or 15K, and that just may be something that I have done. But it's, as you can see from the spectrograph, it's pretty flat. Bit of a frequency ring in there. That just could be my Behringer unit that we're running all this through. So there you have it. What we're going to do is just play a little bit of music through it now, and just kind of listen for how it sounds. So that is kind of the analysis of the on the spectrograph, and we'll go ahead and run a little music through it. Okay, so what we've done, get in focus here. Whoa. So what we've done is we've taken the iPod, run it into the interface, and ran it into the mixer board so that we've got some output going into the mixer and then into the interface so we can see it on the analyzer, and we can look at a comparison of what the microphone here is picking up versus what the actual signal is. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can't get the glare off the screen again here and kind of get that fired up and let you see what's going on. So what we're seeing in the green trace is a speaker, and what we're seeing in the purple trace is the original input of the iPod, and so you're seeing that they're tracking fairly close. We'll go ahead and turn that back up. Trying to keep them so that you can kind of see the one trace above the other. So there you have it. That is our take rendition on the L210 VIO. I know they're going to eat me up on this one for the way I'm pronouncing this, because it's probably not even close to what it really is in Italian. But I want to thank the guys at DB Technologies in Italy, Claudio and Marco and the team, and you guys have done a fantastic job. This thing sounds really good. So, gosh, a line of 6 or 8 of these aside would just be absolutely amazing with the power amp behind this thing. So, good job. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to get a hold of us with comments, and we'll be happy to answer you back. We're also on Facebook. We just did an event last night and did a little bit of a video on that, so you can follow us on Facebook as well. That we post event videos from time to time with our speakers and our Allen Heath D Live. But if you need anything, line arrays, other speakers, cabling, mixer boards, whatever the case may be, power distribution. We've done quite a bit of power distribution, and if you have any questions on that, you can get a hold of us as well. Website, www.Trinity, T-R-I-N-I-T-Y, ProSound, P-R-O-S-O-U-N-D.com. And then Facebook, we're just under Trinity ProSound. We are in Northern California. If you're in the area, stop by, give us a call. Area code 209-832-8023. But like I said, any questions, any comments or whatever, feel free to get a hold of us. And if you go to our website at trinityprosound.com, there's a way you can email us through that as well. And look forward to your comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back soon. Trinity Productions, trinityprosound.com.